Over the past couple of eons I made this holder for these small boring bars. And now we get to find out if the holder works as planned and if these are any good. FYI, these boring bars and inserts were given to me to review by a company called Banggood. Banggood is a large Chinese reseller, and they are giving lots of stuff away to YouTubers to try and make a name for themselves. Just the other day a YouTube channel called XYNUDU did a review of basically the same set of boring bars. So this makes my video a bit redundant. So what we have here are three nicely looking small boring bars. There's a 7, a 10 and a 12 millimeter, and they all use these same small ccmt inserts. The inserts that came with this set are from Mitsubishi, apparently made in Japan, but looking at the XYNUDU video about the same set of boring bars, they can also come with a set of unbranded inserts, and even the boring bars might look slightly different. It's a bit unclear if these are genuine Mitsubishi inserts or some sort of Chinese made knockoff. I've sent an email to Mitsubishi, but so far they've failed to reply. Personally, I think these are real, and Mitsubishi just doesn't want you to know that they are selling Chinese made inserts with huge profit margins. If anybody knows the real story here, feel free to comment. Now for my test, I'm going to try and bore out a piece of this stuff. And as usual, I have no idea what kind of great metal this is. It looks to be coated in chrome, so it might have been part of a hydraulic cylinder. It's probably hard to turn, but it was cheap and I'm in no hurry. The plan, by the way, is to make a backing plate for this small 4-jet chuck that I bought at the local flea market. Alright, let's cut a bit off. Well, it looks like this is going to take a while, so I'm going to get myself a cup of tea. This is an 8mm drill, and I don't think the 7mm boring bar will fit inside this hole, but we might be able to start cutting. I guess we'll find out. I'm going to have a closer look at the drill bit. This is one of my few expensive drill bits. Let's see how this does. Quite a difference. Alright, I've got the 7mm boring bar set up, but before I take a cut, keep in mind that my lathe is way too slow to get anywhere near the recommended surface speed range. The max speed for my lathe here is about 600 RPM. At the current diameter of 8 mm, the surface speed is about 15 meters per minute. And for these inserts to work properly, you need perhaps 4 or 5 times that speed. So to be honest, I got pretty low expectations for this cut. Here goes nothing. That's not bad. Well, that's not perfect, but it went better than expected. The hole is starting to fill up with chips. I'm speeding things up. Alright, that is as far as I can go. Surface finish isn't perfect, but that might be the material. This lathe doesn't have a lead screw, so feeding this in by hand using the top slide. So it's not really possible to get the same consistency as with a lead screw. Well, I'm going to finish up this hole and then we will continue with the 10mm boring bar. I'm ready to start out testing the 10mm boring bar. One thing before I start. On the surface finish of the insert pocket there were a couple of blisters or bubbles in the coating. They were pretty easy to remove, but you should check for that, because I don't think it's a good idea to have that underneath the insert. This time I locked the cross slide in the hope that it would also improve the surface finish. I'm not sure, it might. It looks pretty good. I finished boring the hole with the 10mm boring bar, and that went pretty good. I would say that the finish in the hole is better than what I got with those reamers I tested in an earlier video. And the finish might get even better as the hole gets bigger and the surface speed increases. Alright, let's move up to the 12mm boring bar. As you can see, I've mounted the 12mm boring bar upside down. You can easily do this because there's a flat on both sides of the shank. They say that this helps with the chip ejaculation. It also puts a different load on your carriage or cross lights. Instead of pushing down, everything is now pulled up. So I don't think I would do this if I had a Chinese mini lathe. Well, let's try it out. Maybe a bit of oil. So far it doesn't really help with the chip ejaculation, but the hole is still pretty small. As the hole gets a bit bigger, the chips get out a little better, but they are also getting out through the back door. In fact, the whole spindle is pretty much filled up with chips. I flipped the boring bar over and I've extended it as far as the holder would allow. So now there is about 92mm overhang. Not bad, but not great. Alright, let's try a very light cut. Definitely a lot less chatter. Not bad at all. So normally I would use these VDR boring bars, and I think it's only fair to do a little comparative test. These VDR boring bars do okay, but a lot of the time the tip breaks off. That's enough. That surface finish is definitely a little rougher, but that's probably because the tip here is rather sharp. Anyway, these work fine as well, but they can be a little annoying to sharpen, especially when the tip breaks off. I've opened up the hole using that Vidia boring bar, and I've come to a point where the surface speed is nearing the recommended speed for this insert. So I'm going to do another test. I'm going to increase my feed rate. I was having a hard time maintaining a consistent and rapid feed rate by hand. But the surface finish is actually better than I was expecting. Well, I'm done testing, and I must say that I'm pleasantly surprised at how good these boring bars are working on my old and rather slow lathe. All over the internet they will recommend not using carbide inserts on a slow lathe, but I would say go ahead, especially when you're not into really small work. Although I'm pretty sure these will work even better on my other lathe that runs a bit faster. I'm also pleased with the boring bar holder. It sure took me a long time to make, but now I don't need to shim up the tools. So in the long run I might even save a few minutes if I live long enough. I must say that it is refreshing to review something good for a change. Most of the tools that I tried out in my previous 3 videos were rather bad. These I can recommend. So go on and click on the links in the description box below the video and buy yourself some Banggood boring bars, preferably in bulk. Well, that's it for me. The end. Seriously, you should go watch something else now. Let's do a boring bar facing cut, just for fun. That's a bit too much. Terrible. The horror! Oil, we need oil. Jesus. Why? This is almost unbearable. How come this is so hard? This is the side I cut off. I don't get it. Is it the angle of the tool? Well, this totally sucks. Why all the whining? Well, let's try this. Could be better. Well, there you have it. Banggood boring bars are no good for facing off. But I did find a good way to make steel wool.